Looks like there's a message embedded in the signal. Let me work my magic.
Whoa, wait, we don't even know whether or not these leaks are true or false yet, but still, I do think there is more to them than meets the eye. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very exciting Spider-Man PS4, or should I finally say Spider-Man PS5 related video. So yes, as you clearly saw from that intro, there is a ton of leaks going on recently, not just relating to Spider-Man PS4's highly anticipated sequel, but also for the upcoming PlayStation console with that of the PS5. Now, if you have been keeping up with the news, you would be aware that we have already received some updates about the status of Spider-Man PS4's sequel from a couple of industry insiders. The first off was one of Kind of Funny's main co-hosts of Imran Khan, who did claim that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 would release sooner than we think, and a possible release window of holiday 2021. And the second claim was from fellow gaming industry veteran of Victor Lucas, claiming that this year of 2020 is the year that Sony will actually start to discuss about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 being on the PS5. And if we manage to take both Imran and Victor's claims into consideration, as well as this latest news update, there is a slightly possible chance that we could actually receive a reveal and or tease of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 being developed for the PS5 sometime next month in February. And the main reason why the month of February is such an important month for Sony overall is because all the way back in February of 2013, that is actually where they first initially revealed the PlayStation 4. And due to the fact that the PS5 is actually officially scheduled to release sometime within the holiday season of this year, as well as a lot of rumors relating to the next upcoming month, PlayStation might just end up revealing the overall console of the PS5 by providing a full-on price, release date, as well as upcoming games that are going to be released on said platform. Now again, everything I am about to discuss about these leaks are not confirmed by anyone over at Sony or PlayStation, so please take everything that I am about to say with a grain of salt, but still, there are a lot of factors that do back up these points. And the first of which, even though this isn't the best source to start off with, actually resides within 4chan, which did point out that the upcoming possible slogan for the PS5 could be titled "It's Time to Play." And while that may not seem like much, this said leaker through 4chan actually said that this was going to be the slogan before the PlayStation Europe Twitter page actually officially changed their description on their bio page. So while this person might have just made a lucky guess, there are other claims that he does make about PlayStation's future that do actually add a lot of credibility to his upcoming statements. And just as a small sidebar, even though I do like the new slogan of "It's Time to Play," I don't think anything is actually going to top what Greatness Awaits has managed to garner throughout these past years. Now luckily, PushSquare.com did manage to fully compile all the major highlights from the 4chan leak relating to the PS5 event that is going to take place in February, and a lot of it is extremely exciting to say the least. And to take from Push Square's article directly, they do state this post features a long list of PS5 details. We've broken down the main points below. And to start off with the most 3 interesting points relating to PlayStation as a whole is that the PS5 reveal event is in fact set for the 5th of February 2020. And alongside of that, the PS5 release date is in sometime in October of this year. And interestingly enough, the amount that is going to be tailored to this specific console is that the PS5 price is $499 and £449, only one model. So to initially back up these claims is that if you are unaware, PlayStation is currently holding a month-long event within the Sony Square of New York City, celebrating 25 years of play with a collection of titles on PS4 and PSVR. So if Sony ends up actually holding their big long-awaited PS5 reveal event right in the middle of this ongoing experience, that would give them even more attention than already possible. And just as a small comparison in general, the primary PlayStation 5 logo, which was revealed back during the Sony CES event, has actually acquired more likes in total than that of the entire Xbox Series X reveal. So given how good of a position PlayStation is currently in with its consumer market, I don't think they have anything to worry about with when exactly exactly they are going to reveal the PlayStation 5 as a whole. This is the exact reason why they are once again skipping E3 this year and instead are most likely going to hold some type of state of play when E3 is actually occurring. That way they'll still be able to participate within the gaming festivities that do occur within the overall E3 season, but won't physically be attending the conference in any way. And as for the console's release date and price, I do think it does make a lot of sense if the platform is going to release sometime in October. That way they can in fact prepare for what Black Friday has in store, as well as the upcoming rapid holiday shopping season. And as another comparison, the original PlayStation 4 actually did end up selling for a total of $399 once that did originally launch all the way back in November of 2013. But given how incredibly detailed and complex these next generation experiences are going to be, I do think it does make sense that they would increase the price for the next gen console from that of what the last gen console was. But of course, what good is a fully next generation console worth without any awesome games to play with? And funny enough, unlike the Xbox Series X, the PS5 is in fact going to launch with fully exclusive games tailored to that specific console. And as the article states, some of the launch games that we can expect on the PS5 are going to be Gran Turismo 7, MLB The Show 21, Demon's Souls Remastered, Godfall, and Legends, which is actually a brand new IP from Sony Santa Monica. However, there is the other factor that some people may not be able to buy the PS5 on launch and instead will wait a bit later to pick a console up when there is actually a game that fully interests the consumer. And this is where things start to get extremely exciting, because not only will we be able to actually see what games are going to be launched on the PS5, but apparently at this PS5 event, they are actually going to fully tease brand new upcoming games that will launch on the PS5 sometime later down the line. And to get even more hype, these games include Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, Marvel's SpiderMan sequel, new sci-fi IP from Naughty Dog, new IP from Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan, new IP from London Studio, Final Fantasy 16, and a brand new Resident Evil game. Now, of course, we already made the assumption that the overall sequel for Marvel's Spider-Man would in fact be a PlayStation 5 exclusive instead of that of a PS4 exclusive. But I did not expect in the slightest that we would actually possibly receive an announcement for the sequel during the upcoming PlayStation 5 event. This is mainly because that I would think that Marvel would want people to focus on the overall current AAA game that they have going on right now with that of Marvel's Avengers. But sadly, the game did in fact get delayed from its original launch date of May 15th, 2020 to September 4th of this year. And seeing how Insomniac Games' current status is that of a fully first-party studio working under directly for Sony Interactive Entertainment, I guess it does end up making sense that they would want to prioritize their upcoming exclusives over everything else. Now again, we don't know for sure whether or not any of these claims are true or false, but still, given all the previous information that we do know about the status of Spider-Man PS4 sequel and the PlayStation 5 as a whole, I do think that there are going to be some pretty interesting announcements that will occur during this event. But whether or not it turns out that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will actually be there is something that we'll just have to wait and see on. And to finalize the list of details relating to this leak is that the PS5 specs are almost on par with the Xbox Series X, where the leak claims that the Series X is more expensive, but the PS5 is more powerful than the cheaper Xbox Lockhart. And again, like I said earlier, is that the original leak that this came from did start off with the person claiming that the PS5 slogan is that it's time to play. And yes, even though we don't know officially for sure what exact project Insomniac is working on next, Marvel's Spider-Man is the highest selling superhero game of all time and the most profitable game that Sony and Insomniac have ever made. And given the massive amount of financial and critical success that the game did garner, as well as the massive teases at the end of the main game and the DLC, I do think it is safe to say that a sequel is most definitely the next game that Insomniac is working on. And if it turns out that we do actually end up receiving an announcement or tease of some kind of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 at the upcoming PlayStation related event in February, followed by a full-on release of the game sometime in holiday 2021, then I can definitely say that the hype for Spider-Man PS4 sequel will in fact be at an all-time high. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled on any major PlayStation related announcements in February, either relating to the highly anticipated PlayStation 5 or highly likely sequel for Marvel's Spider-Man. Now moving on to the second news story relating to Spider-Man PS4 sequel is actually from a leaker on Reddit who did manage to find out specific details which we kind of already pieced together previously relating to what could be featured in the next game. And the reason why this leaker has a bit of credibility to him is because he did actually point out a few of the games that were going to be featured within December's State of Play within last year. And once again, before I read this, is take everything that I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but still, you never know whether or not it could be true. And luckily for us, the Daily Gaming Report website did manage to do a full summary as to what the leaker did state about the sequel for Spider-Man PS4 by initially stating the most important part of this leak is probably the fact that it gives us a release date for the game. It is said that the game will come out on the holiday of 2021 with a reveal later this year, which again is stuff that we did hear about from both Imran Khan and Victor Lucas. There are currently no specifics on the reveal as Sony are doing things differently this year. The next thing that the leak goes on to talk about is the map, and good news, it's bigger. The map is based on the last one with most of the districts the same, with the added districts of Queens and Brooklyn, the birthplaces of Peter Parker and Miles Morales. So this is obviously something that we fully expected to happen within the sequel regardless, relating to all aspects is that they are going to go bigger and better than ever before. And while the overall island of Manhattan was a total of 4 to 6 times bigger than the overall map of Sunset Overdrive, which was the first open world game that Insomniac worked on, it just makes a lot of logical sense that there would be even more areas to explore within Marvel's New York, like that of Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and of course hopefully a lot more by the time we actually see the game. Being able to explore the other islands of NYC was something that I actually wanted to see within the first game, so I'm really glad to see that hopefully, if these leaks are true, that we are going to receive that within the sequel. But to continue on with the article, it does state the game's story seems to be left under lock and key. All the leak had to say about the story is that a portion of the game takes place during the winter and Oscorp is involved. The leak does briefly mention cloning, which leaves me to believe that Ben Reilly might make an appearance. And obviously, Ben Reilly is a clone of Spider-Man for those of you who are unaware. The story will also hint towards a wider Marvel video game universe. Now for this paragraph in particular, I am a bit skeptical towards it because we did already receive quite a few major Easter eggs relating to the wider Marvel universe of characters that could be featured within this game's world relating to the Avengers, the Defenders, and much more. And obviously, we already know that Oscorp is going to play a big part within the sequel due to the fact that both Norman and Harry Osborn are going to be possible villains of the game with that of Venom and Green Goblin. As for the main reference of winter, that is actually something that a lot of people were wondering, is that whether or not we could actually receive snow as a weather system within Spider-Man PS4. And even though we did end up receiving quite a cool amount of dynamic weather effects within the first game, like that of lightning, rain, fog, and more, I do think adding in snow within the sequel would be a very nice addition to the overall world building. And as for the major part of this portion of the article, I don't know whether or not I'm on board with the fact that cloning could possibly be a narrative element within the sequel, possibly including that of Ben Reilly. I definitely think the main focus of the game's story should relate to that of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, Miles Morales as him becoming Spider-Man, and of course the other villains with Harry Osborn potentially being Venom, and Norman Osborn potentially being Green Goblin. Now of course you would also have other supporting characters be featured within the game, like that of the return of Mary Jane, or possibly Yuri Watanabe becoming the Wraith, but based on what creative director Brian Intihar actually said in a previous interview is that he does want to actually focus on a simple story but with complex characters. So if Marvel and Insomniac end up adding in more of a cloning or Spider-Verse scenario within the sequel, I don't know if that's going to mesh too well with the more grounded story that they are trying to tell. But on the other hand, it could be really cool if done properly. And as we draw closer to the end of this article, it does state Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is also being expanded with this next game, with villains like Venom, Green Goblin, Carnage, Mysterio, the Lizard, Cardiac, and a few more. If you remember in the ending of the last game, Miles got his spider powers. This is going to be an essential part of the story. Just like the first game, Miles will have his sections, but he will play a little differently to Peter Parker. Miles will have a different fighting style and all new powers. So obviously, if you're gonna make a brand new game, you can't just have the same gameplay mechanics or characters that were featured within the first one. So it's really cool that the overall villain roster is going to be expanded, and as expected, Miles will have a completely new playset compared to that of Peter. We already know that Venom and Green Goblin are most likely going to be the main antagonists of the sequel story, and we also know that Mysterio and the Lizard do exist within this universe given some of the Easter eggs that we did see within the backpacks. But if we also end up getting characters like Carnage and Cardiac within the story, that's just going to be flat out awesome. And who knows, that could possibly be where the cloning aspect comes in, where instead of taking the main 616 route of making Carnage the main serial killer of Cletus Cassidy, Alternatively, they could just make him a deformed clone of Spider-Man using his blood, similar to what the ultimate origin of Carnage is. And believe you me, you're not going to hear any complaining from me if we get a character like Cardiac within the game compared to the more lackluster characters that we did have to deal with in the first game, like that of Screwball. And to fully wrap up this article, it does state, making more of a move to gameplay, the randomized crime system is getting a reboot. The system is compared to Diablo's dungeon mechanic. In Spider-Man, different types of crimes will happen in different situations. This causes you as the player to decide what is more appropriate, stealth or action. And knowing that Insomniac have labeled their incarnation of Spider-Man as an acrobatic improviser, as well as the more evolving gameplay mechanics that we did see in the first game with the random crimes, I definitely think that they are going to make major improvements to the overall side activities and main mission varieties that we will see within the open world aspect that this game will offer. And overall, with a bigger world, more expanded gameplay mechanics, a much deeper story, and lots more variety in gameplay and missions, as well as the full financial support of Sony's benefit relating to Insomniac now being a fully first-party studio from that of Sony Interactive Entertainment and PlayStation directly, I can easily see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 reaching the same success, if not surpass that, as to what the first game already managed to do. And I for one am just crossing my fingers and hoping for the absolute best as to when this game could possibly be announced and released. But still, here's hoping that the potential PlayStation event could happen within next month of February. And regardless of what happens, I just know for an absolute fact that it's going to be one hell of an awesome time. And with all that major news out of the way, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of this absolutely crazy news relating to the PlayStation 5, as well as all the news that we did receive for PlayStation's sequel of Marvel's Spider-Man? Even though the game hasn't even been officially announced yet, I am just beyond excited to see what is next for the future of this incredible series. And if Spider-Man's sequel actually does end up being revealed for PlayStation's event within February, that's easily going to be the biggest highlight of the entire show for me personally. And until that time comes, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and peace out.
Some see self-doubt as an invitation to be greater.
This is your opportunity to prove it.
Rated T for teen.